Hello, everybody. I'm Rick McCutcheon, and today on Partner Talks, we've got a guest who's a new and rising MVP, Will Hawkins. Will, say hello to the people and tell them who you are and what you do.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here. My name is Will Hawkins. I'm out of Toronto, Canada. I am an AI engineer and data scientist and now a newly minted Copilot Studio MVP. I run a small shop that helps partners and customers essentially stand up their AI capabilities, doing engineering and consulting work for them.
Okay, excellent. And you and I have been on the road for the last month. Lots of conferences going on. We were at the DynamicsCon in Chicago, and we were both at DynamicsMinds in Slovenia. Let's talk a little bit about that conference first because it's pretty unique. What are your thoughts on Dynamics Minds?
Yeah, it's an incredible experience. I've talked with a few other speakers that were at DynamicsCon in Chicago this year, and they were asking about how things went when I went across the pond. And there's really not anything like that you can experience, I think, here in North America, or at least that I've seen. It's more of a community event in a different way. You know, you get to kind of hang out with people and see them behind their professional mask, and still learn a lot. There was definitely a lot to be learned in the sessions, but the atmosphere is completely different in a very great way.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with Dynamics Minds, it's in Portoroz, Slovenia, which is on the Adriatic, and it's a cultural hub as well as it attract a really global audience because we would be sitting at a table and every one of us would be from a different country, if not a different continent. All right, so it's becoming a really focused international event for Microsoft business applications. So, Will, what did you present at Dynamics Minds?
Yeah, so my co-presenter and I, Nancy Calder, we've worked on this session called Beyond Copilot, kind of extending from Copilot to AI agents. So we kind of took the audience through, more or less what is the difference, right? What is a Copilot versus what is an agent? And then what does it look like to go from a Copilot to an agent, whether you're building that yourself or buying it? And then best practices for kind of conducting that process and just lessons learned from different projects that we've implemented agents with.
And I think that's an important conversation for both customers and partners to be part of because, really the focus, I'm going to say for the next 5 to 10 years, it's not going to happen immediately, but we're seeing AI have an influence and we're seeing what they call these agents have a big influence over especially business applications and how people work. So, Will, just briefly tell us what's the difference between a co-pilot and an agent?
Yeah, for sure. I think one analogy that I like to use is a co-pilot finds information, an agent actually acts on information. So a good way of looking at it is a co-pilot is going to go out and search or summarize or generate new information, whether that's a document, a spreadsheet, an email, something like that. Whereas an agent is actually going to conduct some kind of workflow, like maybe it goes and scans your receipts and identifies, areas where you need to reach out to a customer and reconcile or something like that, or just essentially conduct a process on your behalf.
Yep, or even come back and ask you a question about this receipt.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did you spend all that money on coffee when you were traveling?
Okay, so that kind of leads to our next stop, which is going to be happening on June 16th and 17th in Toronto, where we're doing a DynamicsCon regional event, which is going to be packed. It's at Microsoft's Canada's head office in Toronto. It's over 2 days. What will you be presenting at that conference?
So at that conference, kind of a key problem that's been a conversation when I talk with partners and customers is being able to understand the difference between what qualifies as an AI agent and what qualifies as intelligent automation or just an intelligent workflow. And so that's going to be what the session is mainly about, is breaking down, hey, what's the core conceptual difference between, just kind of throwing AI into a workflow and calling it a day versus having a full-on agent that, like you said, can come back and ask you questions, conduct some kind of decisions on your behalf, and actually go ahead and redo an entire process for you. So that's the gist of the session.
And I'm sure you're going to get a sellout crowd for that because that's a big interest. So we've got coming off the conferences, we've got one more to do, and I think we're going to have the summer off, and then it's going to be full speed ahead for the fall.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Will, I want to thank you for coming on Partner Talks, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you many times in the future about AI and agents because I think it's going to be a big part of what we do.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in person at DynamicsCon Regional and looking forward to chatting with everybody soon.
Okay, thanks, Will. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.